Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all enjoy that first September Brawl breakdown. This is part 2, where I think we're going to be able to cover the rest of what we need to. And thank you all for bearing with the long video. Hopefully everyone gets something out of it. Whether you're preparing for a tournament, or just thinking about what it even looks like to do different deck building, deck banning, and stuff like that. I'm actually not terribly accustomed to the whole deck banning situation, although I think it's a cool format. So I feel like I definitely had a bit of a learning curve, to understand what that looks like. So as always, thank you for your likes, comments, subscribes. I appreciate you all supporting the channel. I'm hoping to be involved with community events in the future. Really love the game, and just again, round of applause for all of the creators that were involved, and all their information is in that first September Brawl breakdown video. So today we're going to go through the other rounds that I wanted to feature, and sort of explain, kind of what was going on a little bit in the tournament, and how I ended up doing. So I think we'll just start with our opponent here, and the ban list that I have, right, would be Zapruder for round 3, who's a great player, really sportsman person, again, too. Really appreciated playing against them. And so we're just going to go into the round 3 footage, and then we'll get into a couple other things that I want to go over. So here we are. Let me just make sure we're on, oops, 1.5. There we go. Okay. All right, so Zapruder had banned my high roller deck, which makes sense. Definitely people were more afraid, I think, of the whole, or just not wanting, maybe not afraid, but just not wanting to deal with the Arkham Midnight's high roll. So started out again with Aquaman Ivy here. Pretty happy with this hand. And this deck, as you might tell, Zapruder's piloting of the Green Lantern Wonder Woman definitely made me think a little bit more and have a little bit more respect for this specific leader combination, which then I took into my Christmas time video with Hal and Wonder Woman, because I thought it was really a cool idea on the just some of the different mid-range decks, and I really just haven't been playing Wonder Woman that much. So here we have a great starting hand, and then they open with +2/+2, draw a card, give something +2/+2 and guard. And then we draw Clark Kent off the top. And I said in my last video, I don't think that this card probably should be in your deck, or at least my deck. It's hard to say. It's obviously high risk, high reward. Generally, I don't really like to play that way. So I think, in the future, I think I probably would make this change. But I believe in this game, as it did against Splainer, it ends up panning out. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it gets killed. I don't know. Let's find out. Let me stop talking. But we've got a good hand. We've got 3 different copper, or bronze recruits, rather, that we can play. We've got Indoctrinate, which I felt was great in both of these games. And then the Ring Chooses is really scary. That could be a number of different lanterns. But, not a lot of interaction early on, which is nice for us, especially when we play Clark Kent. So here it's going to be kind of a really easy turn where we fill up the rest of the board with recruits. And just get some pressure down. I think here I'm thinking between what I want, more recruits rather than less. Wonder Woman is going to go off. So something that's a 3/3 is definitely going to be dying. And I think I end up making that call and just saying, all right, Vines is probably going to die. Let's just get as much power onto the board as possible so that when we play Queen next turn, we have an option. Escape Tunnel, not a helpful card off of the Riddler, but we do have some inmates in the deck, technically, like Hugo, I think. And there's the big steal. So this, I don't know if there's a way to tell that this got +2 in guard, or if it just got, oh, right, because this only seeks a lantern. I don't know if I was thinking about this at this time. Then this is the card that got the +2/+2 from their turn 1 play. So it's just like information you want to be thinking about. Steal gets even bigger, but Indoctrinate is really, really clutch here to just completely clear this out. I think this card's great. Obviously, can't answer gold, so it's not fully unconditional, but answering any free bronze or steel card, or steel, in this case it is steel, or silver card, I think does give it quite a bit of power. And we've got Aquaman activation as well to get rolling, so it's kind of a perfect turn. As much as I would like to play Queen here, I think I realize that there's just no justification not to indoctrinate the steal this turn and keep on pushing. And then we can have double Queen next turn. We do hit the Seahorse, which is a big game. For those of you who catch some of the top 4 games, Seahorse MVP for Aquaman. It is just an incredibly insane card to have. So here, I'm just going to punch as much damage through, and I'm evaluating who I should be attacking. As much as I think Wonder Woman goes off very soon, I did have a hard time figuring out where this damage should go. Like, Hal hits for 4 and enables, these kind of like powerhouse turns with lanterns. But I think my thinking was Wonder Woman's going to impact the board more. If I pressure her life more, she's less useful, right? Because she's going to have to trade health when she attacks. And Wonder Woman's going to have not a fun time doing that if she's already at 5 health. So that was kind of my thinking for why I wanted to do that. We've got a full board here. We've got a Superman. Yes, the shield is off, but we really have, quite the board state. And we get Brainiac off of that. So, if we end up going later into the game, which, very possible, Brainiac will actually be a pretty great card to have. Draws a card the turn you play it, draws a card the turn it dies. 5/5, not bad. And the Queen got the buff too, so she's even beefier. So using Hal to clear out some stuff, favor of the gods. I will say, when you're playing against this kind of deck, and you're really only playing like one recruit a turn plus like a draw card like Seek the Lantern or Favor of the Gods, when you've got board presence, it feels like you're ahead. Of course, things like Steel would have like really stopped us from moving forward, but because we have Indoctrinate, we're allowed to keep rolling with our pressure. And I think once that starts to happen against Hal, Wonder Woman, it's a little scary because they really need to either get to Hal recruit, or like I think it's like the Something Father, like the big beefy cards at the end. So Kilowog here is pretty good, but we're going to be able to clear it out and still have quite the board state. So here I think it's just double Queen if I'm not mistaken. We could also seek something else. So yeah, I decided to pump up Superman. Oh, right. Okay. This is good we're reviewing this because I actually don't remember exactly what I did. So here, I guess I just make the call that I'm only going to really play one Queen. This one's got guard as well, because I also have the second Ivy recruit that can come out. So I might as well seek, Superman or Wonder Woman just to try and lock up the game as much as I could. And I sort of guessed that Superman would be harder for them to answer. So yeah, and then we just get to punch through, kill Wonder Woman, and then put Hal low. We don't even activate Ivy because we don't need to. And this should be pretty hard to answer. Queen with Aura. Get another card off Riddler. Yeah, and pretty much I think we just had an incredible start, and it was going to be pretty hard to address. But Hellblaze does do quite a lot of work here. That is the card that I sort of thought about for a lot of my deck building, because I assumed I'd be playing against a lot of Shazam and things like that. And even though I didn't really in my group, Shazam was definitely a big player in the tournament. So Kyle with, no payment, not a big deal. Plenty of options. And I think we just clear out Kyle. We make a Vine. We play Superman. And then probably just like Queen, something like that. Yeah. I mean, really at this point, it's just like we're going to play our best cards, and we've got tons of gas after that, and it should be pretty impossible for them, for Zapruto to come back. I think really the turning point was just in being able to indoctrinate the Steel that had gotten buffed up. But this is a huge Hal. So this really is your end game in this deck. You can get it off of your Seek Lantern cards, which is nice when you don't actually have the recruit yourself like me, because I don't have it. And basically, this is the way that you stabilize or try and win the game, is off of like a massive Hal. So here, I just have to math it out so that I can trade for Hal and keep pushing. And we just have plenty of gas, especially because Superman has, um, you know, shield as well. This just obviously, the way I end up playing this ensures that Superman gets to finish. So definitely a good game, for us. Definitely a little bit harder when Zapruder wasn't able to, keep deploying threats and really catch up. And there's a lot to talk about in this game, and we'll go through it of kind of how we got this. So we've got the mirror match with Batman Zatanna, which I knew was going to be kind of a slugfest. And I knew that my list was probably not going to be as optimal because I was missing quite a few cards that I would have loved to play in the tournament that I got later on, actually, after we had to lock in the lists. Yeah, you just got to play what you got. And I played a lot of Batman Zatanna in the unranked ladder, and it just felt like I was winning all the time. So I just felt like the deck was really good. So pretty bad opening hand, but I like Stargirl. I like Batwing. I'm willing to keep that in my hand, but just throw back Arrest and Booster Gold because they're cards that I don't want to see in my opening hand. And I end up throwing Batwing too, which, yeah, look, if you look at this mulligan, right, that we get back, I'm feeling so bad now. I'm like, okay, we're gonna go to a game 3, because opening with double gold is gonna be terrible. Star Gold doesn't even really do anything because I don't even have more bronze cards to play besides Amethyst. So, but you know what? This is a good lesson of like, keep your head, keep playing, right? Obviously, I'm not trying to like spoil the game or how it goes. At the very least, it is an incredible game. But like, play what you got, right? Not a good opening hand, right? It was a pretty bad mulligan when I shipped back 3 cards and got back 2 gold and a bronze. But that's how it goes sometimes. And I think the craziness of playing this deck against the other deck is just the fact that you're just always like both of your leaders come up at the same time. We draw Constantine off the top, which like I am happy about in one way. But in another sense, I'm like, oh geez, there's nothing I can do this turn. But yeah, we can clear Bluebird, which is pretty clear. And I'm like, should I save Amethyst? I think in hindsight, I get 0 value out of doing this. So I think this was a misplay. Why do I get 0 value? Okay, do 1 damage. Great. If they have Pyromancy, both my stuff dies. Why should I play into that? They've got Batman. They're got to have the Batarang. Why not just play Constantine and Amethyst the next turn? So this was 100% me not really respecting what this is. This is me saying, okay, I'm going to challenge you and hope you don't hit. That's really stupid. I don't think I should have done that. So first to admit, that was a really, really bad line for me to take here, because I'm pretty sure I get punished to some degree. John Diggle, oh, this card. This, I can't wait until I get. Sorry. I'm gushing over a card I don't have. Yeah, and then they just Timothy my board, right? And I think I just feel really stupid looking back at this play of like, why did I not just register saving Amethyst and Constantine for the following turn, so at least I've got some board presence. So we draw a Timothy of our own, which isn't bad. We're definitely looking to clear John. And obviously with Constantine, we probably want to take the card that's going to keep it alive. So we take the hidden free card. And then Bandage, I think it's just going to end up being better in most cases. Grapnel Hook I'm thinking about for like Timothy or something like that, but there's just really no reason. We're going to play Constantine guarding Zatanna. It's hard to say exactly who you go for first. The more I've played this matchup, the more I feel like Zatanna's spells are scary enough that you really don't want to leave her on the board. Whereas Batman, yes, has the combat-based ability, but he's going to heal anyway with bandages. But like that's an argument to kill him also because he can bandage Zatanna. It's hard to say. I think it's really close, and it kind of depends on the board state. But because Batman has access to bandage, it actually probably is a little bit better to kill Batman first. Let me know what you think in the comments. So here, Crystal Blast plus Batwing. They're going to be able to pump Batwing quite a bit here. But we've got some stuff on the board. And basically what I'm saying to myself is like, all right, if you hang in there, if you just make sure that you don't die, then you're going to play your gold cards, the next couple of turns, and hopefully you'll be fine. So we draw Xanadu, which is like pretty welcome, right? Because we're going to get something off of it. And here, I think I just say to myself, right, I just, trade, clean up the board. But boy, would my play have been better if I had had access to 2 free spells instead, and I'd still have a Constantine on the board. So big mistake for me on that second turn playing that Amethyst. And we end up drawing a pretty good spell. Let's just give a leader +2 permanently, and I actually find that spell makes a huge difference in a lot of different matchups. So they're going to be able to clear our board. There's just really not much that I can do when, with Zapruto's leader turn. It's just going to be constantly a tug of war back and forth. But basically in my head, I'm just hoping, okay, I've got Shazam, I've got Mr. Adam or Captain Adam, I forget what his name is, and I've got double leader. Let's just get to work. And drawing the second Constantine definitely made me feel a little bit better, because now again we can get a free spell and be able to keep pushing. Now I could have taken Smoke and Mirrors and made another Captain Adam or something like that, but here I'm just saying, you know what, I'm going to try and play my Constantine, plus I think it's probably Shazam here, and just apply as much pressure as possible. But again, that's why this deck's awesome. You have so many options, right, of what you want to do. So we can also clear Diggle here, which is nice with Batman again, pump our whole board, give our whole board Aura, which is definitely relevant when I don't have Hellblaze in my version. I would run it if I did. But I was pretty sure Zapruto had it in theirs. But yeah, we get the beat face for quite a lot. And here I'm like, okay, is there a chance that I could take a lot of damage? And I just throw out the heal on Batman. Part of me probably should have healed. I think I should have healed Timothy. I think that was more relevant than healing my leader. So here I'm just hoping that there isn't a way for them to clear everything. Robin, definitely a good one to see. Smoke and Mirrors. So let's pause here. You'll see later that there was an issue here. So at this current board state, after they play the first Robin, Zapruto does, what had happened was a bug here in this space. And I've experienced it with this deck. I can never tell like if it's just me hovering over the card in the wrong place, but I'm pretty sure this has happened to me. So I find this out after the match, right? Because I'm recording, I don't have the other tab open where we're able to chat with each other during the match. That's something I'll try and figure out in the future. I work off of a gaming laptop. I don't have multiple monitors. I just do screen capture. So I'll try and keep that in mind in the future, because I think that would have been good to have. So at this current board state, they had double Robin in hand and Smoke and Mirrors. Now, had they had this space here, they would have slammed a Robin here, right? Makes total sense, because then they have 2 evasive creatures just to block. But what ends up happening is, because they can't do this, they Smoke and Mirrors here, right? Which is still good, but obviously strictly worse than just putting a 5/5 Robin in front of Zatanna here. So clearly this would be bad. The board state would be a lot harder, right? I'm going to be able to punch through to almost kill Batman here, right? So I can get it off, attack through. So let's let the rest of the game play. In my opinion, and this was up to us, it was basically all bugs we had to play through for the tournament. And my take afterwards, and we'll watch through it and let me know what you think in the comments, was that I was so ahead that I don't think that the bug would have made a huge difference. And it was up to us if we wanted to restart the match or replay the match or whatever. And so here I basically, and I don't know this right at this point. And so I'm like, okay, great. I get to play another magic spell, pump everyone, have lethal on Batman, because I can take off the dodge ability there, and then I can kill Robin, kill Batman. And so the board state, if they had gotten to do what they do, is Robin would be right here. So let's watch the rest of this. and see what would have happened. The thing that's crazy about Captain Atom, though, is like as soon as you pop any of these, right, he just gets buffed. So we just have these two huge threats that there isn't really much once Aura has come down and Captain Atom has protected everything. It just at that point he's going to become huge, and as long as I have one, one ability to punch through damage, we should be able to close it out. Yeah. So here they get a bunch of spells, a bunch of actions. And Saputo's, just really thinking and weighing it out. And if this were here, we definitely have to take one shot with our leader and then clear it with something else. But currently we had 9, 6, 15, so 21 damage. But then the bat cycle gives a bit of a... So that's what they have to do, right? Is trade there. Whereas if this were in front, they would not have traded because of evade. But we're coming up on double leader turn, right? So we're also going to be able to attack with Batman. Yeah, so at this point, I just know that the game is over, right? I get another free spell. I get to play Alfred for kicks, pump my whole team. So obviously, it would have been a strictly better play for Zapruder to do what they did. Again, I didn't really know this at the time that we're playing out the game. If I had known maybe in the moment, maybe that would have changed my decision. But I end up just saying that, okay, we have to play through the bugs. I'm just gonna, say that that's a win, 2-0. Zapruder, definitely was like, are you sure you don't want to play it through? And I decided not to, which is tough, right? Like it's a tournament where there's money on the line. I really want to do well. I started off 0-1. I'm beating the person that has beat two other players in the bracket to knock them from 3-0 to 2-1. So I have a real shot at playing a tiebreaker match and winning, because also Patches, who was in the group, was 1-1. If they won, it would have been a three-way tie. And I'll sort of explain how that goes. So we end up I'm very happy with this. Obviously, it's not great that there was a bug in the game, but I felt that I was so much in the driver's seat that and there were some bugs that came up here and there, and a lot of the players made the call, like if you had lethal on board and the bug happened, you won, right? In this case, it was like the bug happened and I very close to had lethal, right? I just got to play another. I knew I was going to get another spell. I knew Zatanna was going to be able to take off evade, as well as my own leader to take off evade. So there was really little that Zapruder could have done at the time. But of course, it affects the chain of events. So and they were super nice about it, and I really appreciated their sportsmanship with kind of moving forward very professionally with that. So it's at this point. I guess I'll just switch over to this to talk for a second. So it's at this point. A lot of things have to get figured out in the tournament, right? And essentially what happens is our group does end up having a three-way tie. I think there's another group that has a three-way tie as well, but they're able to kind of figure out the system so that it's very clear that one of them had an advantage over the other two. Ours was not like that. We all beat each other. We all ended up beating Splendor. Was really, really nice, and was like, man, I think I'll make new deck choices. I was like, it's a learning experience for all of us. So I really appreciate it. My group was super communicative. We were talking the whole time in the Discord, setting up matches and saying GG and have fun and all that stuff. So it was super great experience for me for my first, competitive tournament. So it's at this point, basically, Patches being incredibly sportsmanlike is like, hey, I haven't eaten anything in 4 hours. I got to get going. Let, Zapruder and Tim figure it out. And that I just, again, I just think that that's so awesome that they were willing to do that. I was not willing to bow out. I really wanted to play it out. I knew there was going to be some sort of tiebreaker. And we did play a tiebreaker, as you might have seen from the hint at one of those video titles. And we're going to go over that. And I would have played the tiebreaker either way, because Zapruder did have to experience losing through a bug, which I didn't feel great about. And even though I quote beat Zapruder in the head to head, right? Like he had not beaten me, I had beaten him. We had the same exact record. So I was like, yeah, let's definitely do the tiebreaker. And what was cool is we got to pick our banned deck to play with. So this is the first time I'm getting to play with high rollers in the tournament. I'm pretty pumped for it. But if we go back to our handy dandy sheet here, that means that Zapruder is going to play their Joker Lex list. And I did not have a good feeling about that. I knew that we were going to have some sort of, let me just catch us up to the opening of the video. I knew that Lex Joker probably on paper was going to have a better time than Lex Harley. Joker is so scary. I think people, I don't know if it's, I wouldn't say people don't give Joker credit. I just think that maybe folks haven't realized like how strong he can be. Yes, he can, he can mess up. His stuff is random, all that stuff. But like, it just takes one firepower card to turn him into like just a plague win, right? He like wipes all your enemy stuff off the board, and you just get to like keep on trucking. So this was an awesome match. The tiebreaker match where we're both Zapruder and I are rolling on our inmates decks that were banned. So let's just get into it. So pretty bad opening hand. But I keep Jailbreak because this card I think is the crux of why the deck operates so well. Being able to get the 2-for-1 and the fact that inmates have such like kind of tribal synergy with each other makes it just such a great card. So I'm pretty happy. We've got Mr. Freeze. We've got Man Bat. I was about to say Batman. That's not correct. And although we don't have a super explosive draw, I have to kind of figure out a way through this. So here, I think I end up going with Mr. Freeze because I'd rather trade that for one of the 3-1s than run my Man Bat that can pump stuff later into them. So not my favorite start. Definitely Punch and Julie is a really great start from Zapruder here, and I'm not feeling super great about that. However, one advantage I have is that I've got Harley the following turn to clear, right? And they have to wait for Joker. So there's kind of this back and forth here. So we'll see how things develop. Yeah. So pretty weak turn for me. I'm just going to make, I think, a double trade here. Harley on Dr. Freeze, and then my 4-1 on their 3-1 just to keep things as clear as possible. Oh, I end up holding Harley. Okay. That's interesting. Why did I do that? Oh, because it was exhausted. Of course. I'm already forgetting what Dr. Freeze does. Oops. We are not on 1.5. That's why I was like, this feels slow. Okay. There we go. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so they end up thinking here for a bit. Now, Anton, we'll talk about this card a little bit more. This is a card I now have a bit of respect and love for. I don't actually have the card in my collection, but Zapruder definitely turned me on to this card, and I am excited to give it a shot, because I was kind of wondering, like, is that good enough? But we'll talk about later why it is pretty good. So, pretty weak turn from Zapruder, which makes me think, okay, I can get back into this game. So I'm going to go Jailbreak here and hope, and this I'm so happy about. I'm like, I just need to spike a black mask or a Clayface, and we'll be good to go. And we end up hitting the Clayface, which means we can follow up with Punch of Julie. We can clear Anton with Harley, and now, at the very worst, we'll probably have a Clayface that survives this turn. We've even got Prometheus to stop, a good attack through here. And then Joker ends up whiffing and really doing very little. But Zapruder hits their Black Mask into their Penguin and clears Prometheus, which is pretty nice, to pump their whole board and their deck. So I just have to figure out how am I going to find a way to close things as quickly as possible. So I think I do a lot of thinking here, right? We've got access to Lex's ability, we've got access to Harley, And I think I'm pretty much saying in my head, all right, we got to use Lex's turn, whether it's to clear Penguin or Black Mask. I just have to make sure that those things aren't on the board. I can definitely trade Punch and Julie um, for Dr. Freeze. So it might just be wise to kill Penguin, play our own Penguin, kill here, and then trade in and then replace or find a way to kill the Black Mask is basically what I'm thinking about. If I can clear their board and push through some damage, we should be in good shape. So yeah, I decided to indoctrinate Black Mask because I don't have a great way to clear it. And I know I'm pretty much going to play Penguin and then kill their Penguin. And that gives us a pretty good way to kill things. Yep. So use that to clear. And then I decided to go Jailbreak just to keep the board as beefiest as possible and pump our Clayface up to huge. And then I knock out Joker. And here, and I end up doing Jailbreak. It's funny, like looking back at it, I feel like I might have taken a different line. But I think I specifically was thinking there, if I spike off of jail, or I just have to hit off of Jailbreak and get some reasonable stuff, I could probably kill Joker this turn, and that's exactly what happened. And then here, I think I decided to use Harley just to pressure Lex as much as possible. So we'll see what happens next, but I'm like, I've got this. I can do this. And then we'll quickly see how the board turns a different way. So they're going to use Lex to take out Clayface. Makes total sense. And then Bursting Boom Tube, a card that actually got better because I knocked out their leader to get an extra one, followed by Appetite of Conquest to clear basically my entire board and make their board insanely hard for me to deal with. So Anton and Bursting Boom Tube, I think, are really cool adaptations to the deck. And Zapruto asked me afterwards, like, what did you think about that? And I think it's great because the weakness of Arkham Inmates is the fact that you can get wiped, right? Your board can get wiped. And you don't have that many great ways to fill it back up. Like Rioters is like, okay, but Boom Tube is clearly kind of strictly better because every time they kill something, your units get stronger. And you've got Anton to get huge after they start to clear stuff. So this was just a perfect answer from Zapruto. And I'm basically looking at my cards saying, how on earth can I win this game now? But even though Lex is not maybe the best card in the deck, it's a way of kind of protecting Harley for as long as possible. And so I think I probably just end up playing Lex into Penguin just as a way to kill one of the tokens, one of the Boom Tube tokens. But yeah, I'm just not feeling good about this. Can't attack with Mr. Freeze, right? It's pretty much guaranteed that they can kill something here. And I just say, all right, well, if Lex could take some damage, we've got maybe a shot at this. So he does eat 3 of the Boom Tube tokens. But Harley is dead on board here. I forget if they choose to try and clear Penguin, which I think they do. No, they don't. Okay. Yeah, they clear Harley. I think that's what I would do. I would say, like, at this point, kind of rolling, and there it is, 10-10 Anton off of all the things that have died. And I'm just saying to myself, well, okay, I've got the Indoctrinate. It's not the end of the world. Okay, I draw my own Appetite of Conquest, but then what do I do? So we have to indoctrinate Anton. That much I know. And that is a nice answer. But it's just the Boom Tubes are just huge. So it's pretty scary. But we at least get back into range where we can trade for some of their stuff. But it's not going to be enough, right? Because even if I trade here, yes, it's going to pump what's in my hand, what's in my deck, what's on the battlefield. But, how am I going to stabilize here is the question. So here I'm choosing, do I go face or do I kill them? I think I have to kill one of their units, probably not a Boom Tube unit. um, just because I would want to kill them like all together. So I think I end up, yeah, attacking Julie here. And then we're just going to take minimum 8 to the face. And there's not a ton we could do. And then there's a buffed up Bane comes down, Kite Man comes down, and I'm like, all right, well, that's probably going to do it. I don't think there's much that I could draw, but having a 5/5 here is actually really important because it means they have to trade Bane with it or double Boom Tube. So, at least for me, I'm like, okay, I'm not. At least I tried to go for it, but I'm dead on board here as Zapruder closes it out. So really good game, really sportsman-like player. Honestly, part of me was like, it's one of those things where, of course, I would have liked to advance to day 2, but like Zapruder had to play through a bug, which I would probably feel pretty bad about, and losing like through a bug, even if the game was like the game state that we had. And then they end up taking me down in a huge turn of events with BoomTube and Adam. Just like excellent player. I love the deck construction. I think they really thought about the meta and was like, okay, what's the weakest point of this deck? Is like once things are cleared, how do I come back? BoomTube. And Appetite of Conquest. Turns out we'll definitely do it. So, they end up taking the tiebreaker game there, and obviously I get knocked out, which, doesn't feel great, but it was some really great matches, and, I ended up going 2-1 in my first tournament in a group of 3 rounds. Yes, I lost my tiebreaker, but it was super close, really, really swung back and forth, there for a bit, and then I thought I had it, and then I really didn't. So I just had so much fun. And I thought I would close out the tournament video, this September Brawl, by just talking about some of the data real quick. So like just a little snapshot of, what decks were submitted and what leaders were submitted, because I think we're going to be really pulling a lot of data out of this, thanks again to Erlight and so many other folks who have put together these charts and things like that. I think it's such a boon for the community. So let's just look at how many leaders. So whopping number of Batmans were submitted. I believe this was from day 1. Yeah, because it's so many decks. So 41 leading the charge with most played. And then Shazam 36. Very not surprised there. I think Shazam is just one of the strongest leaders. And Lex, also one of the strongest leaders. Since that buff, I think it's helped him tremendously. Rarely do you need to be killing something. Most of the time, you just get to draw 2 and kill something later. And you just always kind of have that threat. Joker. So the top 4 were Batman, Shazam, Lex, Joker. I am not surprised by this at all. This makes total sense to me. I think these are the strongest leaders in the game. It does include their card pool, right? Tactics was nerfed, but still has a lot of synergy with things. Energy was buffed, and Shazam is good. Tyranny, I don't think really got any buffs besides the Lex buff, but Tyranny cards I think tend to be pretty strong. And then the Joker is really strong and very good, leader with, fire. Why am I blanking on what it is? But the +1, damage to everything. My brain is running on fumes at this point. I'm recording all these videos, so I apologize. Yeah, so I just think this makes total sense. This took up a huge part of the deck submissions. But let's go through the rest. We've also got Aquaman coming in at 30. I think Aquaman, especially after the top 4 and top 60, I think he's got a lot more respect on his name. I think he has become like one of the premier mid-range options. So that's really interesting to see. Wonder Woman still coming in at 29 submissions was very, very well utilized. Hal following afterwards, which makes a lot of sense. Poison Ivy, a little bit sort of the middle of the pack, which makes sense. Zatanna, I actually expected to see more of. But I think the reason you don't is because Shazam is probably a stronger... Shazam has inevitability. They have board clear. It just kind of is probably a better option than Zatanna if you ask me which energy, leader should I be playing. Green Arrow coming in, like we jump from what was it, 25 Zatanna down to 13 Green Arrow. I saw some incredible Green Arrow games in the top 16, and I think that he is a really great option. People don't really pick him as much. Harley Quinn, I ended up having her as well. She's good with some of the aggro decks, but I think you should probably just be running Joker instead. Hate to say it that way. And then we've got Doomsday coming in at 10, Cyborg at 9, Batgirl at 8. Although Batgirl, I think, has a lot more respect after this tournament. There were some crazy games with her. Superman at 8, The Flash at 6, and Black Adam rounding out the lowest pick at 5. So I think this is a pretty helpful roadmap for what you're seeing most of. There's tons of feedback in the community Discord, in the creator Discord, in Erlight's Discord as well. And I think this is helpful for what you're seeing the most and what seems to be the most powerful. It's not always the same thing. It's not just because you're seeing most of a leader means that they're that great, but you had some excellent players playing in this tournament. And I'm sure there were people on the wait list that also would have contributed to the data pool too. But I would keep your eye on these. I would keep your eye on Batman, Shazam, Lex Luthor, the Joker, Aquaman, Zatanna. I still think is great. Hal, I'm still yes, Lanterns have high rolls. I'm still not necessarily convinced that they're good into the control decks. They're good into the aggro decks for sure, but I don't know if you can really beat down Batman, Shazam, Lex, and Joker with Hal. I'm still kind of evaluating how much I like him. And then Green Arrow and Batgirl, I think, kind of are waiting for their moment to shine in the tactics pool. And we'll see. Cyborg, I think, needs quite a bit of help to get there. Is really definitely struggling as a leader in the tactics pool. And same, I would say, with Superman and Flash for their pools. It's just Superman is just, in a lot of ways, seemingly strictly worse than Wonder Woman and Aquaman. And then the Flash is seemingly worse than Zatanna and Shazam. Doesn't mean that they are unplayable. Obviously, clearly, there are plenty of leaders that are playable. But I think it's very apparent which leaders are getting picked most because they tend to have the strongest kind of overall power and consistency to them. That's how I approach tier lists. We'll definitely be doing a tier list on the channel at some point in the near future. But I always approach it from what is most powerful, what is most consistent. Those are very important metrics when you think about how do you win, how do you up your win percentage, right? What's going to have the highest win percentage? Something that has a good power level and is consistent, right? Although Inmates has a high power level, how consistent is it? I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think Zapruder had an excellent build, and I would probably go off of that. And then Black Adam, really struggling. There are some great Black Adam innovations I've seen. I think there are a lot of decks that can enable him pretty well. But in this meta, I would probably just play Doomsday instead, because it kind of does a similar impression. However, I think that Tyranny card pool is very strong. So I think at some point, Black Adam might get a little bit of help. And be much more present. So we'll see how that goes. I figure we'll close out the video there. Folks, thanks so much for checking out these September Brawl breakdown videos. I know we cover a lot of different things. Hopefully there's something for everyone out there, whether you're a new player or you've been playing for a lot and you wanted to check out the channel. I really try to pride myself on doing a good bit of analysis, even if my brain is breaking down a little bit, and just trying to provide, high quality content of theory crafting and sort of prediction, as well as a real, I think, well-rounded take on what's doing well in the DC Dual Force universe in terms of decks and leaders and all that good stuff. So thanks so much. We'll be having some videos, I'm sure, back on the channel soon, and I will catch you next time.